Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Chronic Health Collective, where we empower you to transform your life. We've gathered the best coaches and experts to bring you insights that will elevate your physical, mental, and spiritual well being. Whether you're looking to boost your energy, heal relationships, or live a more productive, balanced life, we're here to guide you every step of the way. Here we have today is Jackie Mott. She's a powerhouse speaker, best-selling author, and master life coach whose true brilliance lies in her ability to talk about difficult subjects using her own unique brand of wisdom, vulnerability, and humor. She lives from her belief that life doesn't have to be so damn serious. Welcome, Jackie.
Hi there, Vince. How are you today?
I'm okay. I'm battling a cold right now, so I might have to be on mute sometimes when I cough. So
That's okay. I hope you're feeling better soon.
I am. I'm always feeling all the energy and the vibes when I'm talking to anyone, especially with you, Jackie.
Thank you.
So we'll go right into it. All right, Jackie?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you mentioned that you're currently editing your book. What
Yeah.
inspired you to yeah, what inspired you to revisit it, and how has your perspective shifted since you first wrote it?
So it's interesting because I wrote this book, and you can see this is the old version. You can see that. That was the first version. And I wrote
Mm-hmm.
that, I want to say it was the end of 2021. It might have been 2022. And things change. Things can change actually rather deeply sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some changes in my life. So at the time that I first wrote the book, I was doing a show, an online show, and I noticed that there were references in the book to that show and find me on Friday afternoons. Here's a link, la la la. And what I
Mm.
realized was, well, I'm not doing that anymore. So I wanted to instead let people know that they can find those videos on YouTube. And
Oh, excellent.
also, yeah, and also as I was sort of going through the book, I had to find someone to edit it. That was a trick. But as I was going through the book, of course, then I was finding different pieces where things maybe had shifted a little bit. The energy of things had shifted a little bit. So at the time that I wrote the book, I was sort of toward the tail end of a pretty ugly divorce.
Mm.
And there's this thing that happens sometimes to us. And I'm sure I'm not alone in this, but we sort of pick up this battle gear. We pick up this idea that we need to be a warrior. And it's so cool to me because at the time that was what was required. That was what I
Mm.
needed to get through what I was going through at the time. And now things have shifted to such a degree that it that feels out of alignment for me now, if that
Mm.
makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
don't
you
want
threw down the
to.
battle gear,
Yeah,
sounds like.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
I want things to be easy and peaceful and calm and all of that kind of stuff. So it's interesting because before I decided to edit the book, I was actually going through the house, and there I
Mm.
have. I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of my stuff in my office on Facebook. I have stuff everywhere. I have like plaques and things saying you can see hanging on the wall, and it really helps me to pick myself up sometimes when things
Mm.
aren't so easy. So I was downstairs. I my space in the house is downstairs, and I was just sitting there one day, sort of relaxing and kind of looking around, and what do I want to do with this space? Like you just sort of want to
Mm-hmm.
shift things around or move things around, and I noticed this plaque that I had bought at the beginning of the divorce, and I'm trying to remember what it said. It was something to the effect of, "You'll get through this too." I'm not saying this well, but until
Mm.
then, laugh through the tears and smile through the whatever, and remember that everything happens for a reason. And
Mm.
my attention went straight to that sign, and I went, "Yeah, that doesn't belong here anymore." that doesn't belong here
Mm,
because I'm through it now. So yes, that was helpful as I was sort of in my battle gear and in my warrior mode and fighting for whatever I needed to fight for. That was helpful to have that around, but it was just like, yeah, I don't want that. I don't want that energy anymore. I am a warrior. I don't need to
mm,
be a warrior in this moment. I can pick that up and put it down as I need or as I see fit. So as I was
mm,
editing the book, it was really cool because I was reading through it very carefully
mhm,
and some of the ideas had shifted a little bit, not much. I mean, the framework of it is still the same, but
mhm,
the language got a little bit softer. You know, the
mm.
ideas were still very much the same, but it just didn't feel right to say things in the same way. So it was really interesting because it helped me to recognize how far I've come. And it helped me to recognize my own healing that has happened.
So do you feel like you've outgrown and you're feeling called to reshape a lot of the things that's surrounding you and with your book?
I think on a personal level more than anything else, but even I notice my energy that I'm bringing to my business seems softer now. You
Mm,
know, there's a again, it's like the battle's over now. Now it's time to just show up, and I'm really curious to see what this phase of my life is going to show me, and how it's going to feel to embody more of that soft feminine side instead of
mm,
the warrior feminine side, right? I'm really curious
uh,
how that's going to
mm,
show up. And I will show you, this is the new copy. And one of the changes, I don't know if you can see from there, but one of the
mhm.
changes, oh, can you see the difference on
Oh,
the covers? Right there.
oh yes. Uh-huh.
It says #1 international bestseller. So in the first edition, we didn't have a number. I mean, it hadn't gone on the market yet, right? So we didn't have
Mhm.
that. And then I also now have heard from many, many, many people who have read the book. And oh, I don't know where the page is. Um, in this new version of the book, we have testimonials from people that have read the book.
Oh,
So
nice. Mhm.
really exciting to include those in the new edits. Yeah.
That does sound exciting. So,
Yeah.
Jackie, so how has this been like for you emotionally or creatively?
The editing of the book.
Mhm.
Um I think that I mean there are some mm, because as you said in my intro, I always probably in some cases overshare. I'm the person who like I'm a storyteller, right? So I share my experiences and stories in an effort to help people understand or illustrate, you know, something, a point or something like that. So it was really interesting because, you know, I don't sit around reading my book every day, right? It's just not
Who
something that I
does?
do, right? So it was interesting to read and revisit some of the stories and um, notice the difference. Like one of my observances, I guess, Vince, is that I know that
Mm,
my healing is going in the right direction when things don't trigger me the same way that they used to.
exactly.
Right.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
writing the book and talking about some of the things that I was talking about, the stories that I was sharing, the experiences that I was sharing, that triggered me sometimes pretty badly.
Mm,
And as I was rereading the book to sort of see what I wanted to pull out and what maybe I wanted to word a little bit differently, and
mhm.
it was just like, okay, I'm okay. You know, these
Mm,
things aren't bringing up that same emotional feeling that they did before. And so it was really rewarding in that I can see my growth and I can see the healing and I can see the peace that is now sort of come into my life so that I don't feel, that ugly stuff anymore or the need to defend
Mm,
myself the way that I did at one point.
right. Oh, wow. That's
Mm,
so powerful, Jackie.
right?
So, we talked about the armor that you had, the battle gear. What
Mm.
do you feel like you've released so far? Like, what are the weapons or the?
I feel like it was almost like a cage, to be perfectly honest. It was like this,
Oh.
um, yeah, like if you can picture like the olden days, I always think about medieval times when I'm talking about armor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you picture that, like the plates of heavy metal that are meant to protect
Mm-hmm.
your vital organs, right? But
Mm-hmm.
if you relate that almost to like a spiritual sense, it's like there's this cage that's or something around you that's meant to protect you from the outside forces, but it also keeps you locked up,
Mm-hmm.
so it's not there's not freedom for you as long as you stay in the cage, I guess, is the interesting idea for me.
So you're breaking out of that cage, Jackie.
Mhm.
So you talked about the process of editing, and then you mentioned a little bit about finding an editor. So for anyone who's deciding to write a book, what was that journey like for you?
Well, so I was fortunate in some ways because I don't know if this is a fortunate thing, but what's going on, I'm in Canada. So what's going on politically had me, I needed to order some more books because I was running a workshop. So I needed to order the books to bring in because that was part of the workshop, that people would get a copy of the book. And the person that we've always dealt with as far as printing goes is somewhere, I don't even know, I think in Tennessee or something, somewhere in the US. So I contacted my publisher and I said, so here's where I'm at. I have no idea what's going to happen trying to get this stuff across the border. And, I don't know if tariffs will affect it. I don't know if it's going to get hung up and I'm not going to get it. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm very nervous about this. So I think I need to find a Canadian printer.
Oh, I
And
would be.
yeah,
Yeah.
right? No, because like we
Mm-hmm.
don't know. We don't know what's happening from one day to the next. It seems to
Mm-hmm.
be changing. So I was very fortunate that she sent me the files, and then I edited what I could, but I didn't know how to edit the actual book copy. So I was searching around and searching around and searching around, mostly online and asking people if they knew somebody, and all of them were like hours driving away from where I am.
Mm.
So I thought that I had found somebody, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to see if I can find someone like here in my area that can actually do the edits before I send it to the printer. And so I made a few phone calls, and some of them, you're kind of going, well, I don't think you really want my business, do you? So that was sort of how it went. But then I did find this one company, and they are literally, I think, 2 miles down the road.
Oh my goodness.
Right? So,
Yes.
and they were able to do everything. They were able to edit it. They were able to print it. They were able to do everything that I wanted them to do. And they are like literally 2 miles away.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Divine intervention, right? So it
Right.
had to
And
happen. Right.
And
Yeah.
the really interesting thing, because also the US exchange rate for us Canadians is really bad right now,
Oh,
like
okay.
almost $1.50. So, like, right. So I'm looking
Mm-hmm.
at shipping from Tennessee. And even if everything went tickety boo at the border and we had no problem getting it across, it was going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $500, I think, US, because the shipping alone was over 200.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that would equate to $700, give or take a bit. And
Mm-hmm.
these guys can print them for $575 a piece.
What?
So, I mean, they did a great job. They did it relatively quickly. They stayed on timeline.
Hmm.
And I was able to drive down the road and pick them up. Easy peasy,
What? It had to happen. I believe
right?
in it. Yes, it
Yes,
had to happen. So
absolutely.
that book will be the bestseller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's gonna get. I mean, I've been giving away so many of them, and I've sold some. But
Hmm.
you meet somebody and you're like, oh, here, you need something that's in here. Here.
I want to ask you more about how you do engage people with the reading and how did they contact you back? I know we have like
Okay.
15 seconds before we get into the commercials and then we'll be right back. But wow, this has been a wonderful journey just about editing your book, Jackie. This is
Yes.
like amazing.
We haven't even gotten to
We'll
the
be
good
back.
stuff yet.
I know.
A life empowered is closer than you think. We're all looking for a better way. Reimagine what's next with a new sense of exuberance. Why not power on like you mean it? Or power off blissfully? A better sleep is a better awake. You've never moved like this before. With the energy nature intended. Imagine reprogramming the way you look at the speed of science. At longevity. At exhilaration. It's next level rejuvenation. Take control of your well-being from the inside out and outside in. The light within is ready to ignite. Be the light. LifeWave.
Imagine a life where every day is fueled by energy, vitality, and purpose. Where age is just a number and your best years are always ahead. Hi, I'm Andy Nam, certified functional nutrition longevity coach, best-selling author, and international speaker. After reversing my own chronic health struggles, I'm now on a mission to help you live longer, stronger, and of course to look younger. I combine biohacking, cutting-edge nutrition, and stem cell technology to unlock your body's full potential. So no matter where your starting point is, I'm going to guide you toward a chronically healthy life. Ready to reverse aging and take control of your future? Connect with me today. Your journey to longevity starts here.
Welcome back, everyone. So, Jackie, I just was so curious about how we're going to continue a little bit about the book and then we'll get into other things. But how do you help clients engage in the book and also reach back out to you?
Well, that's really interesting because I'm not sure that I've done a terribly great job of that quite yet. Again, going through the divorce and everything has been a really interesting process. And what I realized, I don't even know exactly when, last year sometime, what I realized was, remember I mentioned that battle gear or the
Mm-hmm.
cage? Um,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that I'd locked myself up in that. And I didn't realize, yeah, because like it just
Mm-hmm.
became, it was such a long time that you're on guard and you're whatever
Mm.
you're doing. And it was 5-6 years, something like that. So it was a long time to wear it. And I think that that's where sometimes people get stuck, is you don't realize that you've got it on anymore. And when we're
Mm.
wandering around through our lives wearing that battle gear, we show up differently. We show up, again, for me, it was about this sort of like angry, on guard energy all the time versus
Mm.
softer peace, um, gentleness, so bringing those parts of myself back out,
Mm.
um, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy because there was trauma attached to a lot of what happened. And,
Mm-hmm.
then there becomes fear and all of that kind of stuff. And bringing that stuff out into the light again, I think has been really a great journey and also not an easy path to walk. But I think it makes
Right.
me like better in so many ways, better as a human being, number one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a softness or a compassion that I may not have been able to touch before that happened. But also in my experience of, I know what this feels like. I know what it means when your life blows up and you don't know what to do. I know, I understand. So I think it makes me a better coach, a better speaker, a better writer, and a better person,
Right.
you know? Um,
And you
and
tend to heal the people that were you before, so that
mhm,
you're really reaching out to those women that have gone through that. So very
yeah,
powerful, Jackie. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And now we're kicking it up. It's an interesting spot to be because, and so I mentioned that I was having a workshop, and I think that was the second point that I thought we might talk about today was it didn't happen.
Oh, I love
So
how you're laughing through this. Okay.
it's a thing, right? It's a thing. And I believe in
Mm-hmm.
divine intervention and all of that kind of stuff and divine timing, all of it. And so I also do income taxes. And here in Canada, we have two
Okay.
different dates. April 30th is the first tax deadline. And then June 15th is the business tax deadline. So we have a couple of
Oh,
different dates
okay.
we have a couple of different
Much
dates.
better system.
I don't know about that because it makes my
Okay.
tax season very long.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. So at any rate, I had this opportunity sort of fall in my lap to run a workshop that would be a fundraiser for a local organization. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, because I don't know about anybody else, but I'm the person that if it feels uncomfortable, I almost always say yes, because there's generally something that
Same.
will come,
Same. Yeah.
right? There's generally something that I need to learn or something that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, so especially if I'm afraid, then my answer is almost always yes. Now, it would not be if you asked me to jump out of a plane voluntarily, but
Oh, okay.
no,
That's me. I would jump
I
out of a plane.
Oh, no, no. I'm not that girl. I'm not. And kudos to you. I mean, not me, not me. So, anyway, this opportunity showed up for me to do this fundraiser workshop, and I was like, yes, not thinking it's March when this all
Mm.
pops, and not thinking about, oh, okay, I'm going to have to run it middle of May, which is 2 weeks after tax deadline. And you and I both know from a putting on a workshop event, like especially a live event where there's food and space and
People and yes.
table, you know, there's a lot of moving parts. So I said yes. And in the middle of tax season, I'm trying to start organizing all of these pieces and put it all together. So I was so blessed because I've been doing this for a long time. And
Mm-hmm.
when life shifted, I sort of backed off. So as
Mm.
I'm reaching out to people and saying, "Hey, can you help me spread the word about this workshop?" Blah blah blah. So many people were like, "Oh, Jackie's back! Oh, Jackie's back!" And I'm going, "Oh, okay. Well, that feels nice. That feels really nice."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But here's the other challenge, Vince.
I think I know where you're going, but go ahead.
I chose a long weekend without realizing it was a long weekend. So I'm going to say probably 3 dozen or more people said to me, "Well, I want to come, but I can't because I'm traveling or I'm going
Vacationing.
to
Yeah.
open the trailer or the cottage or the kids are coming or
Mm-hmm.
right?" I can't that day. I'm already booked. And I was like, oh crap, I didn't know it was a long weekend. So we had some things, learning experiences
Mm-hmm.
with the venue. There were some hiccups, and
Mm.
some of the hiccups showed up about 10 days before the event.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't really have a lot of time to figure out solutions to the hiccups that came up with the venue. And our ticket sales were not where I wanted them to be. So,
Yep.
and clearly because everyone or a lot of people were going to be away.
Right. Right.
So I really struggled. And I got to tell you, one of my least favorite things in this world is to break my word. To
Mm-hmm.
feel like I'm letting people down, to feel like I'm not following
Mm-hmm.
through on what I said that I was going to do feels
Mm.
really yucky. Like
Yeah.
really, really yucky for me.
Mm-hmm.
So last weekend, because my workshop was meant to be tomorrow, last weekend I spent pretty much the entire time notifying people who had purchased tickets, notifying people that had offered swag bag contributions and donations for door prizes,
Oh.
and the people who had sponsored tables, and the people who, right,
Mm.
all of these.
Right.
Before I did that, I called all over the city trying to find another venue last minute to see if we could pull it out of the fire. Because, like I said, it feels terrible for me to be saying, oh, I'm so sorry. We're not doing what I told you and what we've been planning for 2 months to do. Sorry, we're
Mm.
not doing it. So I tried to pull it out of the fire, and it didn't work. It didn't work. So then, I was having a conversation with one of my girlfriends, and I was feeling really disappointed, and kind of
Mm.
all of these back-to-back phone calls and conversations with people that it's not happening, and everybody was fine. They were great. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
was silly about things. I didn't even go into the whys with a lot of people. I just said we have to postpone. And
Mm-hmm.
then in the end, I met with the charity on Monday morning, and we had a conversation about what it would look like in the fall, because that's the intention. So we'll wait until
Oh,
summer's
okay.
done, right? Wait
Wait
until
till
summer's done. People are
taxes are
back.
done. Yeah.
Yeah, kids are in school again.
Mm-hmm.
People are sort of settled back into their lives, and we'll do it then. And from her perspective, doing it in a different way is going to make life much, much easier for her
Mm.
and her organization.
Mm.
And from my perspective, there everything felt really rushed, right? In
Mm.
the organization, but also in the timeline that I was using for the presentation.
Mm-hmm.
There were other people involved in like organizing things. There was like so your event can't be more than 4 hours.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I wanted lunch because I'm that person. If you come to a
Yep.
thing with me, I'm going to
I'm
feed you.
feeding you. Yeah.
I'm
Exactly.
feeding
Yes.
you. That's it. I hope you're hungry, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So, so we had a 4-hour window, including lunch. And
Mm.
I was like, this is going to be tight, right? Like, I wanted there to be time for question and answer. I wanted there to be time for laser coaching. I wanted there to be time for, I've got
Mm.
exercises and workbooks. And so I wanted people to have time to actually sit together at their table and do the exercise and sort of have a little bit of a conversation, you
Right.
know?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to fit a lot of stuff into a very short time span, unless I want them to be eating their lunch while I'm talking, which didn't feel
That's
even a little
possible
bit
too.
like.
Yeah.
So this go round, it will be a 6-hour event,
Oh, nice.
right?
Okay.
So I'll find a
Yeah.
place where we can have it for the entire day. And one of my girlfriends says, well, maybe you can find a place because it's a fundraiser. Maybe you can
Mm-hmm.
find a place that will donate the room. And maybe you
Oh,
can find
perfect.
somebody who would help cover the food costs. And maybe you can find, so all of this stuff, right? Like, If we had
Mm-hmm.
pushed through and gone ahead with the other thing, now it's like all of this space and possibility has opened up because I'm paying attention to the universe saying, yeah, no, not right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what a wonderful way to really handle disappointment, right? Something that going through, but it seems like everything that doesn't work in sounds like you don't work in your favor suddenly works in your favor,
Right.
right?
That it's a real thing, we especially people like me who are like, oh, I don't want to, I don't want to say that I can't do
Mm,
it. Especially people like
mm-hmm.
me, we try really hard to find a way to make things fit together, and sometimes
Right.
we're, like that square peg round hole, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when we trust that there, you know, I can't remember how it's worded, but sometimes the delays, sometimes the blocks are actually there to protect you or to
Yes.
allow for something better to show up.
That's so good, Jackie,
Mm,
right?
right?
And it's happening in real time with you.
Yeah.
So with other goals that you've had in mind, like you talked about editing the book, finding a new editor, publisher, figuring out this whole workshop and then rescheduling it, like how do you know when it's time to release or reimagine a goal?
Ooh, oh, Vince, that is such a good question. I think one of my big, I don't know if tool is the right word, but I think I'm getting better at listening to the intuitive hits.
Mm-hmm.
Not so great sometimes, especially when there's going to be like multiple difficult conversations on the other side, right?
Or do we have that perspective that it is difficult, but it's go ahead.
Well, and everybody understood. Like everybody
Mm-hmm.
understood. So it was me that was framing it that this was going to be uncomfortable or people were going to be upset or something, my stories, right? My stories
Mm-hmm.
were what was making it difficult when everybody was like, no problem. Let me know. Let me know when you're ready to go ahead. Let me
Mm-hmm.
know. Yes, I definitely want a table, blah, 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 right? It
Mm-hmm.
was really wonderful and sometimes challenging for me to recognize. But I think when things are really not coming together, like really not
Mm-hmm.
coming together, I believe that, one of my friends says, bless it or block it. And
Whoa.
yeah, so when things are not falling into place
Mm-hmm.
relatively easily, I mean, sometimes we have challenges and it's just a matter of pivoting and figuring it out. But when things are not, and it was one after the other. Monday, there was a problem from the venue. Tuesday, there was a problem from the venue. Wednesday, there was a problem from the venue. And then it was just like, forget it. We're done. We're done now.
Mm.
Yeah.
Not a good venue. Never use them again.
Right?
Right.
Nope. Nope. Yeah. So, and I think it's that paying attention to what's happening. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
when things fall apart, and as hard as it can be for things to fall apart, they are falling apart to allow something new or different, or in some cases better, easier,
Mm-hmm.
right, to show up.
Yeah. That's wow. I love it. All of this stuff is all happening right now.
I
You
know.
gotta hear, folks. Like this is amazing. And I know we're gonna get into the next segment, but before we do a break, you talk about helping people embrace their unique brilliance. When
Mm.
did you first recognize yours? You're going to think about this. And how did it change the way you showed up in the world? So
Oh,
that's yeah,
okay. So I'm going to think about that while we're at break then, and I'll have something
right.
brilliant to share with you when we come back.
I think you sharing all that information about navigating through the disappointment of rescheduling the workshop, because I'm in the middle of in the workshop right now. I'm like, oh, I'm disappointed with the count, but I'm like, I had to accommodate. There's people coming in and out of town. I'm like, okay, This is it.
Mm-hmm,
So, yeah,
mm-hmm. Well, we should talk.
sounds good, Jackie.
Are you struggling to communicate effectively or lead with clarity? At Bambushu Coaching, Vince, a certified peace specialist and brain health trainer, offers solutions tailored to your needs. Whether it's developing better leadership skills, improving communication, or fostering peace in stressful environments, Vince has the tools to help you thrive. Through personalized coaching and training, Vince helps you tap into your strengths, reduce stress, and communicate with confidence. The result: stronger leadership, clearer communication, and more peaceful, productive environments. Ready to lead with clarity and peace? Connect with Vince at Bambushu Coaching today.
What we believe to be true will be true for us, even if it's based on completely incorrect information. And we create our circumstances to support the belief systems that we carry. That might sound like bad news, like you're somehow at fault or to blame for the things about your life that aren't working. But let me share with you why that's not true. I'm Jackie Mott. I've always been fascinated by what makes people tick, and I've been working with people for well over a decade. What I can tell you is that those two statements have proven themselves to be true over and over again. The really great news is that we can change it. If you created your circumstances, you must also have the ability to create something different. You can overcome negative conditioning, self-image, limiting beliefs, and instead create healthy relationships, joy, and fulfillment, and that is my specialty. You can find me at jackiemott.com or on Facebook or YouTube. And if you're ready to start living with confidence, joy, healthy relationships, and excitement about your life and future, send me a message or an email and let's talk about it.
Why do 98% of beauty enthusiasts rave about coolness? It's all in the blend of ancient wisdom and modern science. Introducing Coolness Pearlescent Face and Eye Serum Cream. This powerhouse combines the antioxidative power of schisandra berries, the glow of pearl powder, and the hydrating wonders of dragon's blood extract. It's like a time machine for your skin, making it radiant, firm, and oh so smooth. Inspired by ancient Chinese traditions and backed by modern nutritional science, this serum cream is perfect for dry, mature, and aging skin. Say goodbye to dullness and hello to youthful radiance. And guess what? For a limited time, you get a free cooling eye cream applicator with your purchase. It's time to unlock your inner glow with coolness. So what are you waiting for? Treat your skin to the best of both worlds today.
Welcome back, everyone. So we're here with Jackie Mott, and amazing stories she's shared so far. We asked her before the break, when did you first recognize your brilliance, your unique brilliance? How did it change the way you showed up in the world? I know you had some time to think, Jackie.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about this, and what I'm really thinking about, Vince, is that it's been a journey. You know, it wasn't something that just like hit me like a lightning bolt one day that was like, oh, Jackie, this is who you are. This is who you're meant to be. It wasn't like that. It was more of a discovery sort of thing that happened over time. I didn't know, for example, I didn't know that I was a great speaker until I stood on stage one night in front of hundreds of people. And I had always actually had a fear of speaking prior to that. Mm-hmm. But that particular night, I was speaking about something very personal, and I don't even understand what happened. But as soon as I stepped on the stage, it was as though I had come home. And I just shared from my heart. And I think that was the power of that evening for me, was that I just spoke from my heart and people really responded. And then it was like, oh, I enjoyed it, and people responded. So I guess I must be kind of good at this. And then the more you do things, right, the more that comes out. And this thing about wisdom and humor. And I mean, there's a line, bare naked ladies. I'm the kind of guy who laughs at a funeral. You know that line?
I know that line. Yes.
Not in the service necessarily, but
Oh, I did that once.
no, I don't think I've ever done it in a service unless it was appropriate. You know, maybe someone was telling a story, but I I'm kind of the person who is always looking for the lighter side, you know, and
Mm,
so even in the most difficult circumstances, I'm the kind of person who's looking for fun and laughter and, you know,
mm,
like I've told my son, we've talked about what's going to happen when I go and what I want to happen when I go. And, you know, I'm like, I just want you to have a big party. I don't want there to be a whole lot of hoopla. Just, you know, find a place and have a big party, lots of food, tell stories, music, dancing, you know, like all of it. No, I don't want anyone being sad. I want you to share all of the things that were like, "Oh my god, do you remember when she did this?" You know,
I love it. Yes.
that's what I want my celebration of life to look like. And then I was having a conversation actually with somebody who was considering a table for the workshop last week or 2
Hmm.
weeks ago. And we had coffee and we were talking. She works with uh, death doula, I think is the term,
Mm, yes.
and
Hmm.
grief, all kinds of, and that stuff's heavy stuff, right? But her
Right.
and I were sitting there talking at Tim Hortons. I don't know if everyone will know what that is, but it's a coffee shop.
Okay.
We're sitting at Tim Hortons having our cup of coffee and laughing ourselves silly. And we're talking about death. We're talking about, you know, and it's just a natural phase of life. And
Hmm.
we've forgotten that. We turn it into something wrong or something like that. And so the two of us are sitting there laughing our heads off about, you know, what we want our kids to do when we're gone and what, you know, all of these different experiences. I had a friend who had cancer and she ended up coming to stay with me for a little while.
Mm,
And we thought she was going to get past it. The end result was that she did not. Um,
mm,
but she got the news. Her sister had taken her to the doctor and she came back, got this beautiful patio out here. And they came back from the doctor and she shared with me that there was nothing more they could do. So we had our moment. And
mm,
then that evening her sister picked her up and took her to the family had gathered and she had to share the update. And tough night, you know, tough night.
yeah. Heavy.
Yeah. So she came back and when she was going into the house, I was sitting outside. And when she was going into the house, you could see that this had not been an easy evening, right? So I left
Hmm.
her, I don't know, a few minutes. I left her alone. And then I went in and I knocked at her door and, you know, stuck my head in and she was sitting in her bed crying. So I went and I crawled into bed with her and, you know, we curled up together and I wrapped my arms around her and let her cry. And then when she was finished, she stood up. So this is going to tell you exactly who I am. She stood up and went and get a Kleenex. And I said to her, okay, so here's the thing, my friend. If there has ever been anything illegal that you wanted to do, now's the time. And as long as you take the blame, I am your ride or die for this, right? As long as you take the consequences, I'm in. And it was so beautiful because she went from this, whew, you know, this space of, oh, wow, right? This is so horrible.
Hmm.
And I could see it process. I could see it process on her face because she went from like, oh, to dying with laughter. It was absolutely hilarious.
I love that.
Oh, and we did. We actually ran out to some place that she
I was going to ask you what was the illegal thing.
okay, so her boyfriend had broken up with her and kicked her out of the house. That's basically the gist of it. He
Oh.
kicked her out of the house, and that's how
Hmm.
she landed on my door. Anyway, so we had gone out and moved all of her things. A whole bunch of us had gotten
Hmm.
together and gone and moved all of her things. And she said to me, Jackie, he did not give me back. Okay, what are they? Something you put in the garden that things can climb, trellis, a little
Yeah.
trellis. And he had
Hmm.
not given it back to her. And she was just so fixated on this trellis and so ticked off that he had not given it back to her. So we hopped in the car and we drove. It was in, another about an hour's drive from where we are.
Uh-huh.
And so we drove, we stopped, we grabbed lunch, and then we got there and we knew he would be at work.
I love how you
the
went to go get
driveway.
lunch.
Pulled into the driveway and she says, there it is right there. And I'm like, okay. And I jumped out of the car and I ripped it out of the garden and I threw it in the back seat and off we went. Now,
I'm like,
I don't think that was illegal because technically it was
Yeah.
hers, but
right.
it was still a very Thelma and Louise moment. It was awesome.
I was gonna ask you, did she choose a bank heist or what did she do? She chose to take back her trellis. Good for her.
Yes, it was. Oh, it was
Good
funny.
for her.
It was funny. So yeah, I mean that's laughs at a funeral. Yes, probably me.
I love how you bring that humor in and just to break up that heaviness. That's so good. Switching gears a little bit, like
Yeah.
thinking about the clients that you work with, sometimes somebody's who's stuck in comparison or self-doubt and can't yet see the value they bring to the table. What do you say to them?
So this is one of the things that I actually love to work on with people because what I teach people, I call subliminal soundtrack. So it's this stuff that is in the back of our heads that is causing us. In the commercial, you would have seen me talking about this. It's this stuff that we don't know is there, and it's controlling every move and every decision and every choice that we make and how we perceive ourselves and how we perceive others and how we perceive everything. So what does it mean to love or be loved? What does it mean to be successful or unsuccessful? What does it mean? What does it mean? All of that stuff is back there. So when somebody is struggling with those things, and believe me, I've been there. I mean, I was a mom at 17. My ex-husband left after 27 years together. I thought we were pretty solid, and walked out for another person. And, so I've been there where there's like these things that you're like, whew, what does this mean?
Yeah.
What does this say about me that this happened or that I chose that or, right? So I approach things in a very different way. I really don't do textbook like at all. I am trained, but it's all this unique little mix of things that I've learned and things that I've experienced, and that's the magic sauce or the special sauce or whatever they call that.
Yes.
Yeah. So we take whatever the belief systems are that are causing those moments of doubt or those moments of like, can I really do these things? The things that are holding us back. And it can be anything. It can be something traumatic that happened. It could be conditioning from child. It could be so many things, right? But we figure out what the message is. That's the first step. We have to figure out and identify what's underneath the thing that's causing you. Yeah. That's causing you the problem. And then we reframe it. So we start to work on one of the things that I really love, because most people can identify this immediately: money. When people have limitations around money, it's very often this stuff, right? So we talk about money is the root of all evil. And I think almost everybody I've ever spoken to has heard that statement. And, like we write songs about this. People have shows and movies about this. So much in this world that is money is bad, money is hard, money is whatever. So we take that money is the root of all evil. And it's so easy to address this one because it's a misquote.
Yes, it is.
The quote does not say money is the root of all evil. The quote says, for the love of money is the root of all evil, which is greed. And greed makes sense. Greed makes sense, right? So it's that reframing, and then it's a process of catching ourselves and practicing it and practicing it and practicing it, right? So money is not the root of all evil. And I know that because I know that that
Mm-hmm.
was a misquote, right? And I know that greed is the root of all evil. Great. So money's good. Right? It's this
Money's good,
right. Money's
right?
good.
Mm-hmm.
Money's good to have. I mean, good Lord, we can't pay our bills or feed ourselves without it. So it's
Right.
a good thing to have. And I mean, you wanna do a fundraiser for for a charity organization. We want people to come with money, right? So there's
Exactly. Yes.
all of that kind of stuff. So we challenge the thought processes, we reframe things, and then we practice it and practice it.
Mm.
And a lot of it is just those limiting beliefs that we picked up often from childhood
Mm-hmm.
or from, traumatic circumstances and relationships that we've experienced or different things like that. And then we call BS, right? I probably shouldn't say
Right.
the whole word, but we call BS. And then we reframe it with something that we know to be true.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're
yeah. I like
rewiring
how
it.
you walk through the whole process of working with a person who has self-doubt. So how
Yeah.
do you shift clients from hiding who they are to owning their gifts, their brilliance, their unique
To
brilliance?
owning their brilliance, well, we've got to start seeing it first. So often there's
Mm.
a whole pile of stuff that we have to sort of, and I'm not a therapist, right? So I don't dig
Mhm.
into like there are certain places that I just won't go because I'm not there to harm anybody,
Right.
and
Hmm.
at certain points people actually need that kind of support.
Yes.
But what I do is I encourage people to start to play around with who do I want to be.
Mm.
When the marriage ended, I went through this period where it was like, okay, I don't know who I am without this person, without this cornerstone, without this relationship in my life. I don't know who I am anymore.
Mm.
So there was an interesting part of exploring who I used to be and exploring what I enjoyed and what would make me happy, because now it was about
Yes.
me. It wasn't about the future that I thought we were going to have.
Mm. And going through that process of releasing that future that you thought
Yes.
you were going to have, but finally owning your own brilliance, right?
Yes.
Ah,
Yes. And I mean, life is so good. Life is so good now,
yeah.
you
Oh,
know?
that's so wonderful, Jackie. That's so
Yes.
good. Yes.
Yes.
Now, what about some of the gifts that people have and they feel ashamed of it? How do you work with those clients?
I don't know. I don't really spend a whole lot of time on shame.
Mm,
I think that it's one of those things, and I mean, Brene Brown writes some brilliant stuff about that, but I think that shame is a waste of our emotion.
mm-hmm.
So
Ah,
owning our brilliance requires us to actually start to appreciate those things about ourselves that make us unique and special,
mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
sometimes they're not comfortable. I have this, and I think we're just about out of time, so I don't
I
know that
know.
I can get the
Yes.
whole story in, but
No.
really quickly, I've got this side of myself that scared me for a long time because she's very
Mm,
intense. And getting to know her and start to appreciate her was really important part of my journey.
yes.
Yeah.
Wow, I love that. That's
Yeah.
really good. Yeah. And I think you're really celebrating her. Thank you so much, Jackie, for your brilliance, your unique brilliance. And you can always get a hold of Jackie through jackiemott.com. She has her Facebook right here, Jackie Mott Mindset and Empowerment Expert, and at jackie@jackiemott.com. So if today's discussion really resonated with you and you don't want to navigate your journey alone, and I hope you don't, book a complimentary consultation with our expert coaches like Jackie for personalized support. We want you to subscribe to our Chronic Health Collective monthly magazine for valuable tips from all 13 coaches to elevate every area of your life. Join us live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time or catch past episodes anytime on e360tv.com or youtube.com/at Chronic Health Collective. We will see you next week.